Hello and welcome to Savage Universe on our new night, Monday night, to not interfere with the Necessary Evil campaign that runs from time to time on Thursday nights, Altered Morality, run by the Knights of the Smith Dinner Table. But that's not why you're here. If you know about that show, you're already going to tune in on Thursday nights. But I am here tonight with Daniel, who you may know as Padre and have seen him all over the Savage World Sphere and over at the iconic production channel. And we can actually start for real now because Cryptwright is here. Padre, welcome to Savage Universe.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, you're here because you have an adventure that's out called The Dawn of Destruction, which we will get to in a bit, and you participated in the Fast, Fun, Furious February Creator Jam.
Yes.
Now, before we get into that, let's start with what I always ask first-time guests. How did you get into role-playing, and how did you find Savage Worlds?
Okay, so I had a bit of an odd journey into role-playing. I grew up as a missionary kid in the jungles of Indonesia. Literally, the tribe that we were working with came out of the Stone Age about 10 years before we got in there.
Okay.
And so I didn't really have access to what everybody else in America had when I was growing up. And so we moved back to the U.S. just as I started high school, and I got into war games. I was a board gamer for several years before I got into role-playing. Axe and Allies had a teacher who threw Avalon Hill games at me, Rise and Fall of the Third Reich.
Yeah, you should. Did you dodge them, or I mean, those are hefty boxes.
Fair enough. I had a lot of fun with those. That's awesome.
I mean,
it's awesome.
The one that I had, but man, those like where you would punch out like 500 little cardboard chits and then get everything set up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the number of hours I spent cutting things out of cardboard and drawing the symbols on them. And
oh yeah.
So I was there. I started doing that, and then when I went to the Army right out of high school.
Okay. And
my first station out of basic training, Axe and Allies is a great game. I need to pull it off the shelf, and my daughter's just getting old enough for me to introduce her to that. Yeah. Although my wife might like it too, so we'll have to pull that one out in a bit. But my first duty station was at Monterey. I was starting to learn. I was trying to learn Chinese. I lasted about 4 months in a 15-month language.
Yeah.
Got out, but anyway, while we were at Monterey, that's about the time Vampire the Masquerade came out.
Oh yeah.
And was starting, and so people were in the barracks were trying to play that. I started looking at it, said, I wouldn't mind playing this. I got to the point of cover the character concept, creating a character, and didn't ever get a chance to play. I got moved to Fort Bragg for my advanced training, and they had another guy who started running a game in it was with one of the missionary groups over there. I was hanging out with the missionary groups. The missionaries are administrated to the military. So I was hanging out, and one of the guys was running Torg. And so that's where I learned about Torg. And I fell in love with the world. It had the biggest set of it had some of the biggest sets of ideas that I ever ran into in a game. I sat there and looked at it and said, I want to play with this. Created a character and never had a chance to run it. And then ended up leaving, finished out AIT, did another language school at Fort Bragg, then came home and ended up after that going off to college. And it was in college I finally got to play. A friend of mine in the Star Wars Club, I was at Biola University at that point, and a friend of mine started running a Star Wars D6 RPG for a big group of us in the Star Wars Club. Calvin was part of that game.
our mutual friend, which this was great because Padre found the channel, my channel at Iconic, and ended up picking up Jackals, and then was like, wait, in the dedications you mentioned this guy Calvin Krug. Is this the same Calvin Krug that I went to college
with? And
yeah,
I believe it is.
It is. No, it totally
is.
He said you're a great guy. I was playing Marvel Rivals with him last night and told me to say hi.
That's awesome. Hey, Calvin, if you see this, hi, how's it going?
Yeah.
But Jeff ran that for us for a semester, and then I picked it up. I picked up and ran during the summer that year, and basically no one else was going to run, so I started. Basically, flipped through, picked up all the stuff off all the like one-shot suggestion stereos and ran those for the summer because I had no idea what I was doing. But that was a lot of fun. But then I fell in with another couple guys and picked up 3E at that point. We did a lot of Waste World.
Okay. Yeah.
Waste World we did a lot of Waste World. That was a lot of fun. I kept trying to bring Torg to Waste World, but eventually picked up the Torg books, tried that a couple times, and I just kept role-playing, kept having fun, went back to board games a few times. Fast forward quite a few years. I was in it had to be about 2009, 2010. I got introduced to Savage Worlds by my friend Jason. He was an NCO that worked for me. And one of the best soldiers I've ever worked with. But he was a huge Savage Worlds fan. Said, I can run anything in this. He started introducing me to it. I think we did one shot of Beasts and Barbarians. Right. He did a Shadowrun port that we did a one shot. We had to do a campaign we only had time to do a one shot of, but he's the one who introduced me to Savage Worlds. So a few years later, my niece and nephews, I've got several nieces and nephews on my wife's side, and they were just getting old enough to want to start playing role-playing games.
Okay.
And I looked at it, I said, you know what? Why don't I run Star Wars for you guys? So I looked at it, I went, I don't know if I can do, I know I can run Star Wars D6, but I'm not sure if they'd enjoy it because it's a bit of an old system, it's still good. So what I did is I pulled up a copy of the Ruins of Alderaan campaign. And Jason, I talked with Jason about it, and he's told me, hey, Dan, why don't you try running in Savage Worlds? So I downloaded the free, or like the $5, $10 copy of the Quick Start, got used to that, bought this was just before Adventure Edition came out, before Slate came out. So I picked it up, and so I picked up the Explorer Edition and ran it, and I discovered that it ported really, really well because all of the numbers, like the basically all the characters, like a medium success versus a very difficult versus difficult, or they match up very nicely with some of the success levels in Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
And so we ran that game, and it was a lot of fun. And I think I did that. It was that entire campaign we did as a I think it was New Year's.
Okay.
So we started on like New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's, then played all New Year's Eve and wrapped up on New Year's, something like that. And it was fun. But I then ran a couple other things for them over the years. But that's probably about the time you started running Torg Eternity. And I found your channel, and that led me over here. And basically, I've started running a lot of Savage Worlds. I really don't want to run much anything else.
You're in the right place.
I want to run Jackals. I need to pick up Jackals. My sister, who also is actually a friend of Calvin and Carrie's.
Okay.
I was talking with her, and she did her she did her master's at Talbot, like I did, and she did a lot of Old Testament. She's been a fan, so I think she would love to play Jackals.
Well, that's awesome. And everybody keeps asking me in the channel when I'm going to do a Savage port, and you'll be the first person to know if that happens.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that and give it some thought myself. But no, if you do, I definitely will throw money your direction to pick that up.
I appreciate that. All right, so you what made you want to participate in this year's Creator Jam in February? And you got it in under the wire.
Just under the wire. It was a bit difficult, but I got it done. So why did I do it? Well, I've always wanted to do one. I enjoy writing. As we talked earlier, I'm a poet. I'm a writer. Some short fiction. Not good enough to write novels yet, but I enjoy writing. I did almost every single creative writing class that I could take, other than screenwriting, when I was in college as an undergrad. I was one class shy of an English minor. I was a history major. I love history. I love English. I'm a bit more taken by the old school styles than modern literature. So Beowulf was a favorite. Shakespeare's always been a favorite.
Yeah, Chaucer.
Love Chaucer. I actually love Spenser.
Oh yeah,
the Fairy Queen.
Yeah, the Fairy Queen. Yep.
So all of that to say, I'm a writer, but it was a challenge. I enjoy writing RPGs. I've been writing scenarios forever. It's like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. Let's see if I can get this done. Let's try a one sheet for this. Ended up being a little bit more of a one sheet, but
a little bit more than a one sheet, but it's a good little adventure.
Oh, thank you.
I posted the link in the chat. You go check it out. It has everything you would want out of a pulp adventure. The little blurb says you're racing to stop a Nazi sorcerer from loosing a demon on the world and kicking off the apocalypse. So without spoiling too much, and again, this is hold on, I got it pulled up right here. All of this, 5 pages, a 5-page sheet that includes pre-generated characters for $4, $3.99, and you get pre-generated characters. You need the superpowers companion, as well as Suede Core.
Yes.
Tell us a little about it.
So I would say that my inspiration for this is the books are off to the side. You want me to reach over and grab my...
Hey, listen, I've got enough book cred for...
That's fair.
For all of us.
I almost turned the couch so you guys could see the library behind me. Actually, off to the side is where all my seminary books are, all of my writing, everything else. Yeah.
I have 7 other bookshelves that are not visible on this camera.
We will discuss the 4 that are downstairs. I've got 3 that off to the side because I'm sitting in what we call our library.
Yeah.
But so this one, what I'll say for this one is the inspiration for this. Well, okay. The inspiration for this one is a campaign that I need to write. It's the next thing that I have on my agenda to do, which is the elevator pitch is superheroes against the demons of hell set to the background of the book of Revelation.
Nice.
Where all the symbology, all the symbolic creatures that you see in Revelation are the things that the superheroes are fighting.
Nice.
And so when I went to do this one, I said, you know what, let's do a prequel. Let's push it back to World War II, tap into the Marvel Captain America and Captain America, First Avenger. Let's tap into Indiana Jones because probably more of more along the lines of Indiana Jones, I looked back and said, you know what? Let's run it with the OSS, the Office of the Superhuman Services.
Nice.
And then I sat down and went, okay, where can we go with this? Okay, what are we going to be fighting against? What are we going to be dealing with? Well, Indiana Jones got away with that in the dealing with the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so can I do something in that kind of genre, in that kind of that same area? So I pulled a little history in, pulled a couple other things around, and came out with this scenario.
Nice.
So, and again, this is a prequel that will eventually feed into that campaign that I want to do. But I think that's going to be I'm hoping to get a 7-episode, 14-episode. I kind of want to see if I can do it in 7 just because of the symbolic nature of 7 in the book of Revelation. Well, it gets across the entire Bible, but I want to see if I can do that and just throw it out there, see if that's something that might interest people in playing. Every person I've told about it says, oh, that's a cool concept.
I ran a GURPS Banestorm game where the big bad evil guy was using the book of Revelation as a roadmap for, like, if I can create all of these events, then I will force the apocalypse on the world. And
nice.
Then they had something similar happen. Like, as I'm running that campaign, something similar happens in the Edward James Olmos season of Dexter that people were telling me about. I'm like, oh, there was something in the zeitgeist, like right there.
Yeah, and I know Deadlands deals with the with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which again you also see that actually in Torg Eternity and the Cyber Papacy, which a lot of people are doing that, but I think it's going to be it's a very interesting concept, and we'll see where it goes with that.
Yeah, I think you mean a Magnificent 7, Crypt Ready. I could be wrong though. So you get, how many pre-generated characters does it come with?
It comes with 4.
So you get 4 pre-generated characters. You get the 1 sheet. You get some great monsters, and this is going to set up something new. So guys, if you go out and support Dan/Padre now, you may get more superhero goodness in the near future. And when will then be now? As we found out in Spaceballs, soon. Yeah.
So the 4 pre-generated characters, by the way, I pulled from 4 different allied nations. Since you're going with the Nazis, I have a Frenchman in there. He's the explosives expert, learned the explosives doing in the French resistance. Have a British officer as kind of the leader. Have a Irish woman who, again, she's British, but she's an Irish woman who brings a touch of magic and healing to the background. And then one of my favorites is I have an American close combat specialist who's actually based off of a line in Bill Malden's Up Front, actually. He talks about a guy who is, and I won't tell the story, but in there he talks about a character, an infantryman he knew who was a hitman for the mob. And so I brought that guy back in, gave him some superpowers.
Yeah.
And
reality is stranger than fiction, man.
Exactly. So
now as just because it is Savage Universe and we highlight people who are in the Savage Universe, but also I love signal boosting other things that cool people are doing. Daniel, you've got some alliterative poetry that is I'm going to put the link up. You want to tell us what the 2 different it's 2, right? Or is it 3 at this point?
2 right now. I have a 3rd one that I need to finish the cover on to post. So the best description I can give you is that this is poetry that's in the style. I publish under a pen name of TV Witch Hazel, Timothy Witch Hazel. But the style is the style of Beowulf. It's the style of Pierce Plowman, Anglo-Saxon alliterative verse, although I write it in modern English.
Yeah.
I do a little playing. It's not the classic style. I do a little playing with it. But the two that are out right now are actually biblical poems. Mm-hmm. One is the story of Noah and the Ark, and one is the story of Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. I have a few lines written, but haven't gone too much further into David. Sing now a song of the sons of Israel, how David the king danced with death and brought the judgment of God on the giant of Gath.
Nice. That's some good alliteration there.
Thank you. Yeah, again, the style is, it's alliterative verse. So the style is, there are four strong beats in every line, split in 2 and 2, mm-hmm. and you're trying to alliterate three, at least 3 out of the 4 lines, if not all 4. Yeah. Although I allow myself to go back and forth a little bit with it, because sometimes I'll do 2 and 2 to just kind of break up the rhythm a little bit. And so I want to do Noah, or I've done Noah and Joshua. I want to do David. I want to do Elijah and the battle and the prophets of Baal, mm-hmm. because I think that would be just a lot of fun. The scene where Elijah and the prophets of Baal, Elijah is mocking the prophets. Hey, why isn't your God answering you? Shout louder, wake him up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's away on a trip.
Maybe he's on the toilet. Like that's
yes, maybe he's on the toilet. What? Yeah. Shout louder.
Yeah.
But I think
if you've read the Ball Cycle from the Ugaritic tablets, I know we're going really deep and nerdy, everybody, and I do apologize for that. But if you've read the Ball Cycle, that story makes even more sense. And a lot of the weird comments around Baal throughout the scope of the Old Testament, now that we have context, there's a lot of cosmic smack talk going on, and it's delightful.
I actually need to get a copy of that because I would love that.
I will send you the one that I have. The link for, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely want to look into that. And as I was telling you, the next one actually that's going to be coming out is actually not a biblical story. It should be out in the next couple of weeks because I need to just sit down and do the cover for it. Mm-hmm. I've got I pulled up some AI art. I need to put the language in, the cover details in there. But it's a retelling of the Battle of Vienna. What Sabaton's when the winged hussars arrived.
That's right.
And I'm doing a fantasy version of that in alliterative verse.
Awesome. I would love to read it. So let me know when it goes live.
I will. But yeah, that's the Amazon link to my author page. Keep an mm-hmm. eye on it. The 2 that I have out are up there. And yeah, looking forward to diving into the rest of what I want to do with this world of Dawn Destruction.
I'm really looking forward to that as you start getting them together, and if you're going to release them as like a serial, I would highly recommend doing that. I know that. Nope, that's the Palladium one. Quick, John Doom, the zombie setting for Savage Worlds. That they did their plot point campaigns and they released them serially. So you got like one a month or one every other month. I know John Doom's going to be like, oh, it's this one. Dead End. I knew it was Dead something. I was like, Dead Rain? No, that's Palladium. Dead End. So they released them as like a season of plot points, and it was great because you could just, kind of follow along just enough. Atomic Ninja.
Ooh, I'll have to think about doing that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to do with that as well is I have an idea playing off the Rising Stars idea.
By J. Michael Straczynski?
No. It's one of the points in the Superheroes Companion where you slowly add points.
Oh yeah.
So I have an idea for it. I think what I'm going to do, and I think you'll appreciate this, JM, is the game master needs to dispense the progression to of superhero points to them. So I'm going to call it dispensational progression.
Nice. It's a deep theological cut. Only those of us who grew up in the evangelical tradition even know what that means. So
Yes,
loved it. Well,
yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Like, this was awesome. Like, I'm so glad you participated in this. I love hanging out and chatting, not just about Savage Worlds, but also theology. But that's another channel for a different time.
Yes. So again, thanks for having me. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about writing. I enjoyed talking about all the stuff I'm working on. At some point, I'll finish writing some short stories, including some of my desperate attempt to bring back Isaac Asimov's bad pun stories.
Okay.
I've got about 3 or 4 written that I need to get the rest of them written and put out. I've got a million projects that I'm working on.
I still am hoping to write my Pungeon at some point, which is a dungeon filled with bugs.
Ooh. At one point, I did something similar. I threw the players into a scenario where they had to go into the giant statue of the beholder to rescue the princess.
They went into
the beauties in the eye of the beholder.
Right, beauties in the eye of the beholder. Tink, you will one day fight the wild card, big bad evil guy that is a female Minotaur bard archer named Pat Minotaur, and she will hit you with her best shot. And I will kill both with the joke and with the wild card. That's right, John. You can fire away. We got to get Val. I need to get you on to talk about Pharaohness whenever you're ready. I would love to discuss that with you. So, well, I think we've covered Dawn of Destruction and what's coming up fairly thoroughly. Dan, thanks for joining us and hanging out like this. I really enjoy hanging out and chatting with you. This was a ton of fun. And next week we're going to have Star Anvil Studios on to talk about their current campaign that's going on, a Savage Worlds Phase World adaptation. So
yes, I already backed that. Definitely looking forward to that.
Oh man, I love Phase World. Like I love Drifts, but man, Phase World was where I spent a lot more time because the 3 Galaxies was just so creative and spectacular.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. I'm not sure if I'll ever run it, but I'll definitely buy it and read it and see what I can find.
Awesome. Well, everybody, until next time, go out and play some Savage Worlds, and may all your dice ace. Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good evening.